What can make an impression in the new BMW 7 is electric doors, interior lighting, no classic air vents, elegance, performance, agility, and price. Hi, when we think about a flagship limousine, we have in front of us the ideas of modernity, comfort, and luxury, which can be counted in the face of modern motorization. In this video, I will tell you about a car that takes all these values to a higher level. The latest Series 7, since it appeared, caught everyone's attention. Not only the appearance, which has become a subject of a lot of attention, but also what it offers. Flag models have always been a show of the producer's capabilities, and most often it is in them that solutions debut, which later end up in lower models. This car has everything. We have luxury on the highest level, safety systems, smartphone service, quality. It's a real flagship. And certainly for today's day, it outperforms the S-Class or Audi A8 in many ways, and one of them is the drive. And what's under the hood? Electric drive. But don't worry, there are other options to choose from, but I'll come back to that. But remember that I'm telling you about an electric car. It doesn't mean that I'm trying to convince you to the only right solution, which will definitely save our planet. This car drives really well. It handles the unevenness perfectly, smoothens our roads, and makes driving on every surface a stress-free race. BMW i7 is heavy. It weighs almost 2,700 kilograms. On the one hand, you can feel that you are driving a heavy car, but on the other hand, it absolutely does not bother. It is not a car, in the negative sense of the word, heavy, which for example is badly maneuvered, which we will feel worse when we enter a corner faster. Besides, I like the rear turn on the axle because it makes maneuvering easier, and in the city we really do not feel that we are driving such a big car. Tight city streets will not scare us. Of course, we will need more parking space, but if we want, the car will park behind us. The car is over 5 meters long and over 2 meters wide, and the turning radius is 12.3 meters. The suspension does its best to make us drive really comfortably in any conditions, but there is no spectacular difference between this car and other competitive limousines. The car gives the driver 544 horsepower and 745 newton meters of maximum torque, which translates to less than 5 seconds to 100 km per hour, 4.7 exactly. And it's impressive. However, what people who decide on this type of drive may like is the use of energy. Because with such performance, with such mass, this car has a consumption on the level of the average size of a German or Czech electric SUV. Wow, BMW really did their best, because with these dimensions you can fight for a really reasonable energy consumption and a reasonable range. We have a usable battery capacity of 102 kilowatt-hour here, and the car will consume about 20 kilowatt-hour, while on the highway we are approaching 30. BMW i7 can be charged with a power of up to 195 kilowatts, and in Poland, unfortunately, such chargers are not very common. In general, there are not too many chargers, and they do not always work. Fortunately, you can buy this car with other units under the hood. There are 2 plug-in hybrids on our market based on a 3-liter petrol engine. There are 2 power variants, 479 and 571 horsepower. You can also choose a 299 horsepower diesel engine. When we accelerate, we will hear the cosmic sounds of iconic sounds. Of course, you can turn it off if you don't want to. What surprised me is that there's even a launch control. And if you want even more power, you can use the paddles on the left. The new 7 Series is designed for a client from the Far East, and it has a very gadget-like character, which can discourage some people. I think that after the initial fascination with the interior lighting, everyone will sooner or later reduce the intensity of this lighting, because at night it disturbs driving. One thing is certain, the car draws attention, especially when it is equipped with non-factory visual add-ons. You will probably admit that the Black 7 is a real gangster car. The interior of this car is very impressive. It is elegant, minimalistic. Some may say that it is a bit tacky, for example, due to the lighting of the interior, which in the evening is quite invasive. But fortunately, we can turn it off or darken it, change the color, so it all depends. However, you can't not notice that it is really elegant. The materials used to finish the interior are at the highest level. Nothing here. Maybe with small exceptions, rather nothing is cracking here. Don't listen to it while driving. If we try to catch some elements and try to get some sounds, they will appear, but while driving it is on a high level. When it comes to practical storage, there is not much to store. Here is a phone shelf with the possibility of charging induction, 2 cup holders. There is a small compartment with 2 USB-C ports and a 12 volts output. the softness of this armrest, or rather the lack of softness. I am negatively surprised, because after such a car, you could expect that there will be a few millimeters of foam or some sponges more. Besides, the pockets in the door are not too large. There is a space for 1.5-liter bottle of water, but it's not enough. There is also a storage space. There is a small compartment in front of the passenger which can be opened with this button. It's not too big, but it's soft, so it's a plus. As you can see, it's hard to put A4 papers in here. You have to struggle a bit. The most important thing is the airflow, which is not visible. It is hidden between these elements in this gap, and that's where the air gets to us. We can close it if we don't want it to blow on us. It is done in this way. The airflow is controlled by this tool. As you can see, it moves up and down and sideways. The same is on the passenger's side and on the driver's side. When it comes to the stylistics, it's an interesting trick. We are always used to the fact that it is not visible does not translate into any worse effect of air conditioning or ventilation. The presence of large screens is probably not surprising to anyone. Here we have an operating system based on Android. Sometimes it works better, sometimes a little worse. I mean, generally fast, but it has weak points. Generally, in this car, sometimes the system can play tricks. It can be operated with a touch, of course, and with the help of knobs, which I think BMW users have known for a long time. It looks nice. There are a lot of crystal motifs here. If the sun falls into the car, the light reflects and creates an effect that some may like. Some basic functions are available here in the form of non-physical buttons. It's all touch. Piano black, of course, it all goes out very quickly. Here are the emergency lights that sometimes do not want to turn off. In general, when we turn it on, but we have to make sure that they are off. This button is obviously touch sensitive. We don't feel any reaction when pressing it. There is no click. You don't feel it working. It is 100% touch sensitive. Of course, we have to put more force to turn on the lights. As you can see, it reacts better and worse. It took me a while to turn it off. The steering wheel is well in the hand. Fat, thick, this is something we know from BMW. Here we have a physical knob and buttons. We can change the buttons and knobs, which we use to control the radio, change the view in front of the driver's eyes. We can also change something that we see on the display, such as the head up, so there are a lot of options here. Here we operate the cruise control, the speed limiter. It is minimalistic, but it is all that the driver needs while driving. Besides that, there is a classic lever for the wipers and a direction indicator. I miss the paddle shifter here. I mean, there is one, but it's responsible for starting a mode in which the driver can use all the power. But let's face it, it's not used as often as it could be used to regulate the level of energy recovery rate, which is very often operated by the blades. Here, it is not possible to do it this way. We can have an impact on it somewhere in the menu, in some structures. As you can see, you can turn it off, of course. However, sometimes it would be worth using it here and now at a given moment to change the energy recovery rate. We can do it by switching to mode B, then the recovery is large. After returning to the drive mode, we use the settings that we set earlier. It can be either adaptive recovery or we can use one of the 3 levels. However, we cannot do it so quickly while driving. There is no handle here. There is an emergency handle hidden. If we had problems with electrical installation, we can grab it here and then open the door. Interestingly, when the doors are open, we get into the car. We do not have to lean to grab and close, just press the brake and they close automatically. We can also use the button to open the automatic one, which doesn't always work. For example, it doesn't work now. Let's try this button. When we touch it, the doors open, we have to push them. And let's try to close it. This car suffers from, I don't know, you can call it a childhood disease, because some things, as you can see, may require some corrections. Here we have driving modes, which have an impact on the driving itself, but also on what is happening inside. When we set the sport mode, the backlight will change. We will feel how the seat tries to wrap us so that we feel better in the corners. Here is the button that we enter the menu with the selection of these modes. We can of course configure it. There are a lot of non-physical buttons responsible for switching to the appropriate menu. Here is the menu responsible for driving. When we press this button, we will move to the menu responsible for interior lighting. This physical button will lead us to a menu where we can manage the key, because we can make it so that after pressing the button in the shape of a diamond on the remote control, we open the door that we can choose here. When, however, we touch the button with the symbol of the seat, we can turn on the massage for the passenger, the driver, the seat. There are many options to choose from. We can save the position of the seats. From this menu we can control the blinds and the doors. It's nice that we can open the door normally by grabbing here, then we should move it by hand. We can also close it absolutely normally. Here is a lock, as you can see. However, this button is used for automatic opening. It only takes a little while. When we push it, we should move away. The car must make sure that there is no obstacle, only then the door will open. The car recognizes the obstacles because if we stood here, pressed this button, the door would open only a little. Okay, let's go back now, but the automatic opening is impractical because you have to come, press the button, leave, and only after a while we can enter the car. It takes a while and I think it's a bit of an overgrowth of the content. We can close the door as we did in the front, normally by hand or automatically when we press the button here. Here is also a door opening and release button so that we can open it manually. There is a lot of space here. We have everything that a passenger needs to travel comfortably. By the way, I'm surprised that this seat moved back. I just adjusted it. It was maximally forward so that you can open this screen. Maybe it will work. From the menu position which is available here, by the way, it's a wild solution. We were recently used to the tablets that were here. Now it's on the right. In general, using the tablet in this place or the screen that is here while driving is a bit uncomfortable, because if someone is sensitive, has problems with the error, it can get bad here. As you can see, there is a lot of space, and will I be able to open the screen? No. I don't know what's going on. I hope you will see how it looks in this video. What we will find while driving, from the back, big pocket in the door here, is a small shelf for storing small items, a phone holder, 2 cup holders, and a USB-C port in the armrest, which is softer than the one the driver has. It's more soft than the one that the driver has. Besides that, 2 ISOFIX mounts. We can fold it if we don't need it. Then the third passenger can travel here, but it won't be very comfortable for him. This car makes a perfect impression by the way it drives, what it has on board, despite some imperfections. What I really like is the look, but not because I'm a fan of how this car is drawn. I'm not a fan of those big Neres, although everyone will probably get used to it. But I like that the car looks exactly the same as the combustion engine variant. If someone is undecided about the type of drive, he will only have the type of drive in his head. Will have to compromise with the looks of Mercedes customers. If someone would like to have an electric S-Class, it is a car that gives a lot of luxury but doesn't look like an S-Class. In my opinion, the EQS is not a very attractive car. The new 7 Series is a spending car starting from about 100,000 euros. The electric version is over 25,000 euros more expensive, and if we equip it with the roof itself, as it happened in the case of the test car, then we have to prepare 250,000 euros. Let me know what you think about this car, and if you like the movie, leave a thumbs up. Thank you for watching this test, and see you in the next one.